What's up, guys? What's up, everybody in the comments? You got Breedlove in the comments already. Dude's already in the corner. I love it. Absolutely love it. Shout out him. He's going to see Tatis tonight. I was about to go, but now I got stuff to do, unfortunately. Little unexpected visit from some friends, but hopefully I'll make it out there eventually. But yeah, we got a much bigger slate today than yesterday, thankfully. I wouldn't say it's exactly the prettiest slate in the world, but it's great. I love it. That's what we need. Yeah, Cam, I'm full fading that. Thank you. But yeah, today I'm pretty excited. Krabs is out in Orlando doing something. You know, guys always not in the lab. Shocker. But we will we got a new guest. We got my man DeGen coming on in just a second. And we'll talk some baseball. We'll talk the slate. We'll talk, how he how he bets and everything. And I'm pretty excited. So yeah, I mean, let's just get right into it. Let's bring him on. Jen, what's up?
Yo.
How we doing?
I'm good, man. Can you hear me and see me okay?
Yeah, you're all good.
Bro, don't mind the wacky background. I'm at my mom's place. She had this fucking picture of a rooster behind me. I had to at least take that down so you don't have to look at it the whole time.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, we have a little bigger of a slate today. I know you were saying it wasn't your favorite slate, and I kind of agree. But I don't know. Anything's better than yesterday, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I don't know what it is. It's like you want to follow up a disgusting Monday with something that you really like, but at the same time, I mean, you're actually more of a contrarian-minded better than I expected at first. I thought you were kind of more data-driven and stats-driven, but you have to remember if you are a contrarian, you got to revel in the filth,
Yeah.
So these gross slates is still opportunities for winners at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I would say pretty data-driven when it comes to props, specifically.
Fair enough.
I mean, when I'm talking sides and totals, I think you gotta have a little hybrid approach at least. Look at it from a couple different angles.
Absolutely. I don't think you should close off anything. I think you should
Oh, yeah.
you should take in all perspectives and you kind of meet somewhere in the middle. But yeah, I think actually yesterday was a pretty good point because you were didn't you kind of love Judge?
Yeah,
begrudgingly.
Yeah, I did. I mean, honestly, this last couple of days I've been taking a lot of square ones just because like I don't not take square guys or square props just because everybody's on them. Like I just want to make sure that if I'm taking a prop or taking a square, I want a reason for it. And if there's a reason for it, a legitimate like analytical backing behind it, then I'll take it. But if there's not and it's just, hey, Aaron Judge is good at baseball, the pitcher he's facing is not, I'm not going to take it. I don't want to take it.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, I think the way that you bet is fully contrarian, and it's a pretty unique perspective. So, I mean, just tell the people, tell them a little bit about who you are, how you bet, what you do, and everything.
It is and it isn't, because at the same time, what I've realized is, obviously when you first start gambling, you use your bias. You think you watch the sport, any sport really, and you think you get a read on the teams. And honestly, you just don't even really focus on the line. There may be a number that scares you off, and then over time you start to realize, oh, maybe there's a reason. And then, if a team looks pretty good and they're at a pretty attractive price, you don't realize until it's too late. Like, oh shit, that was, maybe fell into a little bit of a trap. But it takes time, and I'm surprised. I mean, I'm 35, you're young, so you figured this out a lot sooner than I did. But I remember my come to Jesus moment. I mean, I'll never forget it. Are you a football fan?
Of course.
Oh, well, I see we're both Bucks fans.
Yeah.
But it was probably 2000. Actually, I remember. It was the first year I moved to New York. It was 2013. Do you remember when Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers were rolling? Ben Roethlisberger, I think he threw for it was something ridiculous, like 400 yards in back-to-back games. Then they were playing the Jets. The Geno Smith at the time quarterback-led Jets. And the Steelers opened up -3. And I had a Steelers fan. And all sorts of friends that were just hammering it. And I realized, wait a minute, this is weird. This is too good to be true. And the Jets won outright, and everybody cried. And that's kind of when a light switch flipped for me. And then I started taking that into consideration. So rather than assessing the teams, the first thing I started doing is looking at the lines. So that's kind of, again, every sport, when I open, whatever app or website you use, first thing I do is just look at the lines, the teams. But baseball gets really complicated because you got to assess not only the teams, but the pitchers.
Yeah.
So trends from there. And that's where, I'm not really a knowledgeable baseball guy, but that's where, someone like me, I've really taken a liking to your show, and the spaces, especially because you hear all these angles. And then that's why I value even more your brain, because you do have at least that contrarian side of you too, which I think is most important. But at the same time, like you said, you can't not take something just because, it's square.
Yeah.
Because these plays hit. And I think one of the best examples to anybody who was, if you were, I'm a big hockey fan, but did you bet hockey this past season?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, there were, I'm not like a big system guy, but I still follow it. There was a point where, late in the season, favorites that were minus 200 or more were cashing over like 70%. Mm-hmm. So, that's a reason to, even if you look at a big favorite, and you want to go with the dog, you just couldn't, you know what I mean? The numbers were against you. So, anyways, but I love the angle. I read the lines, not the teams, but like I said, I don't rule anything out. I think everybody needs a mush or a public guy in their sphere, in their friend group. So you still, like the Padres yesterday. The Padres look sharp. Padres seem sharp, 160 to 190. But then if you start looking on Twitter or you check in with your friends and they start telling you to hammer the Padres, probably, you want to tread lightly or maybe just stay off entirely. So
yeah, it's a little bit. But you talked about the pitchers as kind of a difference with baseball. I know you bet a bunch of other sports. Like, what is so significantly unique about the way that you have to bet baseball as opposed to, like, I know you bet NBA, even though you hate it.
I hate it.
Football, hockey, whatever. Like, what's so specific about it that you kind of have to adjust your approach for?
So something that I'm starting to get more and more familiar with is, even though a line looks weird and looks fishy, someone like me who doesn't know the sport that well, I might be a little bit too quick to react to say, oh, this team is only minus 140 when I feel like they should be minus 170 or 180. And it would right off the bat make me lean towards the dog. But then with baseball, you have to start saying, okay, of course you look at the pitchers, but if everything kind of looks okay record-wise and it still is weird, but then you have to dig even further and say, oh, okay, this lineup is really good against lefties. And it's a left-handed pitcher that's the minus 140. So then what happens is it becomes a more justified price. You know what I mean? And then it's not that fishy. So when you think you're being contrarian and you take the underdog, you're not, because there's this narrative that's so popular of, oh, well, the lineup is really good against lefties or, whatever it is. And then, maybe that pitcher actually, he's, 9-4, but he's really bad on the road.
Yeah.
Those where his road losses come in, or he's got a decent ERA, but it's way worse on the road. Stuff like that. So, it's that's where it's tough, man. Baseball is a grind. I love it. Again, it's not my top sport, but in terms of betting, it's just fun to, if you like to analyze this stuff, in my opinion, there's nothing better.
I agree. I think there's just so many, like a lot of the reason that I do props is because there's 9 guys in a lineup of 30 teams. Plus, whatever other combinations of props you get on Prize Picks or whatever. But I just think there's so much value in trying to find good spots, good matchups, good prices, whatever on baseball. So, that's why I love it. I love probably college basketball a little more, honestly. But
yes,
in a long grind of a season where there's so much going on a given day, most days, I think that's really what I love about it the most.
And what's interesting, I'm starting to realize too, because I've never been a big player prop guy, especially in baseball, right? I don't even know, who most of these players are. Yep. But what I'm starting to realize too is there's you can have the same mindset where you look at these lines and see something might be off. You can do that with these like with Prize Picks.
Yeah.
And I've heard you do that too. And I also hear a lot of followers and everything also kind of chime in where it's like a hitter who, maybe it's just kind of an average. I think it was actually somebody pointed this out the other day. It was like, why is Willie Adames at 7, for his hitter fantasy score, and he should be at 6.5. He should be at 6. So there's something telling with these numbers and with these lines. At the end of the day, like the books know, the odds makers know, and also there's movement. And that's another thing too with the numbers. I hear you guys keep saying, oh, so-and-so got bumped down. know, strikeouts was 5.5. Now it's down to 5, or the opposite way. So, I mean, it's fascinating. I truly think, and I've seen your spaces grow. You know, I was going in there a couple months ago and there was like maybe 70 people in there. Now I see there's like over 300.
Yeah.
And I tell my friends, again, they don't even want to open that door into like baseball, you know, sides and totals are enough. I'm a sick fuck. So wait, can you curse on here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm sick. So I love all this stuff. So I mean, listening to you guys, it's like incredibly valuable to you know, not even like tailing. Like I hate that with gambling. Like you just kind of blindly tail people.
Yeah.
But to at least see somebody point out some red flags and be like, oh, why, you know, this is a little off, this is a little weird, and then you gotta lean into it, you know, when the spots match up. But yeah, man. So with these streams, that's something I'm a little bit late to. I haven't really been watching the surgical stream too much. I listen to your guys' show. But are you a sides and totals player as well?
I do, but I'm props. Like my approach is taking props.
Okay.
I kind of do sides and totals sparingly, so I have to like really love a couple of them. Like usually, like when I go on the surgical stream or I come on here, if I say there's like one that sticks out to me that I really like, I'll play it that day. If I talk to Krabs or somebody and they convince me on another one, I look at that. It's just something has to really stick out for me to play a couple of these sides and totals. Not because I'm like, I think everybody to a point, I've heard it a lot in the last couple of weeks. They've been reaching the point of sides and totals, or I'm done with that. I'm just going to stick to player props because they've seen the light a little bit. But I'm not scared to play them. I really would like to see something stick out to me as far as a side and total. Like I don't want to just go across the whole board and say, yeah, I like that, I'll take it. Yeah, I like that. I want to see something that I love, and I'll take that.
That's good. That's good, man. I mean, you got to have discipline and bet responsibly. So how many on any given night, how many plays, you know, straight bets are you on for a team and a total?
A handful at most. I mean, there's a couple days a week I won't play a single sider total, but I mean,
that's impressive.
I mean, usually when I go on stream with Trent, the guy who hosts the surgical stream.
Yeah. Love Trent.
Usually go through like a bunch of props, a bunch of prize pick squares, and then I'll say, what's your favorite side and total? And I'll have one of those prepared, and I'll probably play that just because I know people are going to tail that. People are going to listen to what I say, so I got to have my own money on it. But
makes sense. I respect that.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all I play. If something else stick out to me, I'll do that. But
what about on player props? Are you only doing prize picks? Because the only thing, and I really like prize picks, but the only thing that I'm not, you know, later in life, you realize like parlays are not the smartest bets.
Not at all.
So are you taking straight player prop bets as well?
Yes, I do that with like if we take a total basis prop that I like and it's not terribly juiced, I'll play that on a book as well. If we do something like a fantasy score, which there's not really a perfect substitute for that, but like some on my book and on some people's books, they have like the hits, runs, and RBI combo bet, whatever. I take that. Obviously, if we're taking like pitcher strikeouts, I'll take that. I like those a little less though, but
right.
I'll do something like that. I also do look. I know this is like book. It's pretty Prize Picks sponsored, but Prize Picks. I look at other apps like Underdog. I don't know if you've heard of them, or like Thrive.
Yeah.
All those other books, because they have significantly better lines some of the time. Like fantasy scores on Underdog are really nice because they're like some of the things like a walk is worth more, a double is worth more, a stolen base is worth more, or worth a little less there. But the fantasy score lines are even lower, which is kind of the opposite of what you would think. So I definitely look to compare. I just take the value wherever I can. I do initially. I like built up the bankroll a lot by not even playing Prize Picks, and I just straight bet. The props in the book. So
well, that's what I was going to say, because there's nothing against parlays. And, you know, I've started to do, I like the 5-teamers, but I've started to actually try to kind of hone in on like 2-teamers specifically, even though the payout's a little bit less, but your hit rate is going to be so much higher. Although I've missed my last 2 by like a hilarious margin. But no, I mean, I think that's great as long as, you know, you're still attacking it like the most successful way possible. I think that's great. Also with baseball, I think everybody should know. I'm not trying to make excuses or anything like that, but I mean, I've been doing this. I'm 35 now. I've been gambling for 17 years. I follow a lot of people. I've got friends who are pretty good baseball bettors, just totally shutting it down. These guys that I follow, some of them I follow sharp guys, I follow public guys, I follow a little bit of everybody. I think you should always at least follow people you disagree with as well. Everybody is having a tough summer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are still winning, but this is, in my opinion, at least within the past like 5 years that I can remember, this is one of the toughest stretches in the last 2 months in betting baseball.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of something to be expected with how popular, sports betting is getting, especially baseball, because there's a lot of people that are starting to bet baseball just because it's the only thing on now.
Yeah, right.
Lines are going to get sharper, traps are going to get trappier, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, the reason why I kind of have a little hybrid approach of listening to the contrarian side, but also like the data side, not even when we're just talking about props, but even sides of totals too. Like baseball is an extremely data-driven sport. So if you follow those numbers, you follow those trends throughout the stretch of the season, it's going to even out and you're going to see the results that you expect, like from a single read on a given day. Like most of the time it's going to hit. So, I mean, that's kind of what I do. Because I mean, it's a tough stretch for a lot of people.
Do you have any particular systems that you ride? For example, one of my favorites is I always bet on a team when they fire their coach or their manager in any sport. So, and I didn't stick to it as well. I always say you give like a 10-game sample size too, because even if it fails in the first game, you got to keep riding it. Like that team will usually start to improve. And it worked out with the Phillies. It worked out with the Blue Jays. It did not work out with the Angels. The Angels are an exception. But do you have anything particular like that?
I don't ride anything to a T, but I mean, there's definitely things that I pay attention to. Like, firing a coach, I definitely play that. That's kind of more of just like a fun thing to do. But
yes,
I look at that. I mean, I look at the one that's we've talked about a lot. It's actually a legitimate thing this year is fading teams off of Sunday Night Baseball. I mean, we saw it yesterday with the Padres. Things like that. Like I'll take it into consideration. The pre-trade deadline thing that like somebody just put in, that's actually a huge deal. Like this. Says down the stretch when these teams, like you see the Reds have traded, Drury, they traded a couple of their guys. The Royals traded Whit Merrifield, a couple of their guys. Down the stretch of the season in the next couple of weeks or month or so, they're not going to be nearly as competitive. So things like that, it's not a system, but just things to kind of pay attention to. I don't have like legit systems, but I do pay attention to trends a little bit. So that's where I'm at on that.
I've started to I've heard some people say they're just done betting bad teams and bad matchups. So it's like even, like for example, like the Marlins Cubs series this past weekend, I was dabbling in it. but then you look, you listen to like some really experienced guys who've been just doing this like 20, 30 years. Some of them take summers off. Some of them just stay out of it. They wait and they strike when the Braves are playing the Mets and shit like that. Yeah. So, it's these are all just things. I mean, I know obviously you're a young guy. Most of your following's pretty young, but I feel like now with, like you said, with sports betting becoming more legal and all these new outlets on social media and all this information, it's like you can never be too early to start, finding these like sort of ways to kind of keep yourself in check and not getting too reckless.
Yeah, 100%. But I do want to talk about some of these games today.
Yeah, we got a lot of them.
Got a lot of them to dive into. I mean, we can start since we were talking about the Marlins. I don't know if you have any thoughts about this Marlins-Phillies game.
I don't. I think it's unbettable. I thought I wanted to play the under. I heard that the Marlins, the problem is, again, when you're contrarian brain, you're just like, oh, am I following into that narrative? That's too obvious. I heard a stat that the Marlins they have failed to score over 3 runs in 21 of their last 25 games. Now they're going against a good pitcher. So, anybody that's playing this total at 7.5, they're probably just, I would imagine they're going to lean under, or they're going to expect all the runs to come from the Phillies. It's just too lopsided for me. But at the end of the day, if you follow these line moves, these public and sharp teams, it would not be, I would not, tell you to stay away from it for that reason. The only thing I'd be careful of is I've started to hear about this ladder. That's the first time I've ever heard of laddering a team, which is great. It's great. Yeah. I've done it plenty of times myself, but I just have a tough time when there's nobody betting the other side. I just simply don't. I mean, I'm looking online on one website. I'm seeing the Marlins are getting 1% of the handle.
Yeah.
I just can't be. There's a certain point you have to put yourself in the shoes of Vegas, right? Like you're taking the books. They're not going to always lose those bets, and I just don't want to be. I don't want to be on the Phillies in a situation where maybe the Marlins just fucking shock the world. So total pass for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. As far as line moves, though, like I don't know how you value them very differently, but I've seen I don't know if I've seen, but I've always wondered what the difference in like meaning of a line movement means when you got a line sitting like minus 265. Like let's say the Phillies move from minus 230 to minus 260 or something like that. Is that the same kind of value in your eyes than like a 150 to a 180, or is it valued completely differently?
No, I mean, I look at it the same. And I know there's a lot of people that they're a little bit scared when they're too late to the party and the number gets too high. So it's like, oh, I would have bet, okay, like the Phillies open up minus 215, they're up to minus 240, 250. They would say, oh, I don't want to bet that now. I would have bet it if I got it at minus 215. Personally, that doesn't scare me. As long as you're comfortable, you're knowing you're getting the worst of the number, but you're also with the smart money. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily think you should be scared of it. And in terms of value, like, yeah, you're laying more juice. I always bet to risk. I don't bet to win. You know what I mean? So, my units are $100. I'm not going to risk 245 to win 100 on the Phillies. Yeah. Because, especially in a long sport like baseball, if you lose these wacky games, then it doesn't hurt quite as much. Mm-hmm. And if you win, then okay, you took back like a third of a unit, so be it. You move on to the next one. But no, whether it's 150 to 180 or 230 260, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. The only time I like it though is if the higher the favorite. If you do like the road team, I love taking road dogs on the run line, especially when you can get it near even or a plus price. Yep. Especially if it's a low total and you think it's a low scoring game. We see games going to extras and walk-offs, and there's one-run wins all the time. So I definitely lean towards that. I think that, you could find some value in that when you're going against the heavy favorite.
100%. 100%. I was honestly, for this game, I was a little surprised that this total is only 7.5.
So what did you expect it to be?
I thought he would get an 8.5 because I know these are two very good pitchers. The Marlins could very well put up 0 runs on their own, like they've done multiple games in the past week or so here. But with as hot as the Phillies offense has been, and they're facing a lefty, which they've hit really well recently. I mean, they're top 5 in pretty much any offensive category against left-handed pitching in the entirety of the season too. And they're rolling right now. I know they faced the Nationals,
right?
Pitching staff, which is atrocious, especially Patrick Corbin. But I was a little surprised, to be honest with you.
I think you're not the first person to say that. And the biggest reason I decided not to play it is because it threw me off too. Because I think the Phillies offense being so hot is a little skewed because they faced the Nationals. Yeah. And then if you look at the 2 games against the Braves before that, they scored 3 runs and 1 run. So I don't know much about Braxton Garrett. His ERA is not terrible.
He's a good pitcher. He's a good pitcher. I think somebody brought this up to me earlier that he is atrocious the first time through the order. So if you are playing it under, maybe wait a couple innings.
You want to play the Yurfie, bro?
I might have to. The problem is like Marlins ain't touching Zach Wheeler, especially the first inning. But
so then you could get more value if you played and I'm not a huge first 5 guy, but I'm open. Like I'm coming around to it. Yeah. Wouldn't you maybe consider if you had to play this game, you'd probably play the Phillies on the first 5?
I mean, if you're going to play the Phillies, I think I think that's where the trend lies. But the Marlins bullpen is also atrocious. So
I see.
I don't think. Yeah, I think if you're attacking the pitching staff, like I don't think you can go wrong in any specific bet against the Marlins. Like, right. And this is not me saying like the Phillies are going to roll here, but if you are betting against them, I don't think you can go anywhere. It's a pretty tough price to pay, but
right.
I mean, even just looking at Prize Picks, there's a significant gap in how they think these pitchers are going to do.
Yeah, I can't tell. I mean, is Zach Wheeler 10-5, 2.6 ERA? I mean, is he that good?
Yeah.
Oh, he is. Okay. Yeah, I never watched the guy, but
he's that good, and the Marlins are that bad.
Yes. Yes, they are.
I think it's fine. Another game we got here that I was pretty interested to hear your take on is this Blue Jays Orioles game.
Oh God. Yeah, so the problem is the Orioles, they're the most profitable team in baseball. Yep. Now, I think I just heard if you were to bet the Orioles every game this season, you're up now 23 units. Just cashed again as a dog at home against fucking Kikuchi. I thought that was an interesting line that Kikuchi opened up, to be honest with you. I would have leaned Blue Jays there. I have banned myself from fading the Orioles. They have, once they started to get very good, I thought Vegas would respect them. I mean, typically that's what they do, right? They set up a price on a team that they actually think is good. But they weren't doing that just yet. And they were still in these weird spots. I remember the series when the Angels were playing the Orioles. And the Angels were terrible.
Yeah.
And I found myself on the Angels, I think 2 out of the 3 games, and the Orioles swept them. And that's kind of when I started to realize, all right, I think I need to be careful with the Orioles. Kept fading them, and they just burned me. So I am done fading the Orioles. They kind of remind me, honestly, of like the Bengals last year. It's like, okay, like this is cute, but still these numbers, they're getting, I think the Bengals got like 7 points in Baltimore. And you're like, all right, well, that probably means the Ravens are going to beat their ass. And then they went outright.
Yeah.
So I just, there's a lot of season left. I'm not necessarily going to hop on that train, and start backing the Orioles. But in my opinion, you are seeing money come in on Baltimore. I mean, Toronto opened -180. I think it's down to -160. It's more justified because now you have the sample size. I always look at after game 1 in a series. That's the toughest one to read. But then when you have the sample size where you say, okay, you know what? The Orioles are capable of beating the Blue Jays. Granted, it's Kikuchi. I know Manoah is very good. But now people might just throw that shit out of the window and say, give me the Orioles who continue to cash as an underdog at home. They're great at home.
Yeah.
So
and I think there's a thing here, like as I've seen it on Twitter all day and continually, and I see it in the chat too. Manoah is very fantastic. He's a great pitcher. Absolutely. But this Bradish guy, Kyle Bradish, atrocious to start the year. He went to the minors, figured it out a little bit, it seems like, and he's had 2 really good starts since he's been back. So I think he's a little undervalued by the public a little bit because they don't realize this guy is seemingly, I don't want to say he's turned the corner, but it looks like he's figured out a little something with his off speed, and he's figured out his command a little bit. He's used to have command issues. It's definitely interesting. I am also seeing, I don't know about you, what you're seeing, but I'm seeing all the money on the Jays, and this line is moving quite the opposite way.
Yeah, me too. 80% of it. So what that tells me is, if anyone's wondering, that means the big bets are coming in on the Orioles.
Yeah.
So, and you want to respect that. I think you don't have to follow it, but you should respect it. You should factor it in. If you're going to make a play on this game, yeah, you're right. Bradish looks good. Wasn't Bradish kind of like a fan favorite of either you and or Krabs early in the year?
Yeah. So when he first came up, I mean, he's one of their better, more projectable pitching prospects coming up in the year. And he really couldn't figure it out initially. He was one of the worst pitchers in the league at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's gotten through the season. They sent him down to the minors. He got hurt too, I believe, in that stretch. So he kind of figured it out. It seems like, and can he continue that from his first 2 starts back? I don't know, but I've seen enough from him to believe that he's definitely a much better pitcher than he was earlier in the season.
You know what I think? I think this total is a little weird to me. And I know Bradish skews it because he's got a poor ERA, but you're right. His last 2 starts, he did very well. But Noah's a fantastic pitcher. So yesterday with Kikuchi and who went for the Orioles? Lyles,
yeah.
Yeah, so with those 2 pitchers, the total opened up 9.
Yep.
Went up to 9.5, went back down to 9. It was wacky movement. Granted, it did go over. But I think the opening total of 8.5 makes me think this game's going over, makes me think we get runs by both teams. I would, instead of playing the Blue Jays, because I don't know if the fucking Orioles are just going to continue to have that horseshoe up their ass and pull out a win. Yeah. But I would lean, I know it's a little chalky, but I would probably lean Blue Jays team total maybe. I mean, don't you think that total's a little high with Manaea involved? Or am I completely wrong here?
Manoah. Somebody said it in the chat too. Like Manoah always has super weird lines every time he comes out. It's really weird. Like, I mean, I think I believe it was that Twins series, Manoah and Sonny Gray. It was the same number. And that's even weirder with Sonny Gray on the mound. And that's soared under. It was like 2-0.
You're right. I think I remember that. I actually think I bet that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect read for it.
Yeah,
I mean, he has these game in and game out, and I don't really ever try to snipe it anymore because he keeps proving me wrong. I keep thinking, okay, the Twins bats are going to go out and touch him up a little bit. That's what the line's telling you, and he keeps beating that. It's not that I want to hop off because that's when everybody hops on and makes money, but
right.
I don't know. It scares me too that. I am a fan of what Bradish is doing. So if he comes out and shoves, I don't know if he's going to shut the Blue Jays down and go 7 scoreless or anything, but
Right.
one of these pitchers is very capable of having a great start. So
Okay.
that worries me a bit, but yes, I agree. The total is maybe a little higher than I would.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No touch for me. No touch for me.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. We did get a request in the chat. They want us to talk about the Rays game.
Oh God. How do you see the chat, by the way, while you're doing this?
It's tough to see from a phone. I don't know if you can do that, but I have my laptop.
No, forget it.
I have my laptop, so I can let you know what's being said. But this is an interesting one. We got Freddie Peralta, just coming back from injury. I believe he had 1, maybe 2 starts since he's been back against the Rays, who are opening with Jimmy Akabonis, going with Ryan Yarbrough for the bulk of the innings. I don't know what your thoughts are on that line.
Yeah, I've had quite a few people actually. I think I woke up to a few people tagging me that the Rays are live dogs today.
Yeah.
Here's my problem. Here's my biggest apprehension. The Brewers have been terrible. The Brewers have lost 6 of their last 7 games, including 2 of 3 to the Reds and a sweep to the Pirates. That's really bad. Now, do you think, so before I go getting excited about a Rays victory today and putting my money on the Rays at a plus price, do you think the Brewers should be open minus 155 against, granted, it's Yacobonis, but a team that's over 500? Because I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know if I do either. The problem with this is the problem with the Rays just in general. I always say I don't know how to accurately value them until I see their lineup because it's so wildly different from day to day. Like we could come out and have Jose Siri in the 3 spot like we did one of the games in the Tiger series, and that kills pretty much every offensive production.
He's not good.
No, he's not. I mean, he came over. He's not supposed to be the biggest offensive guy. He's supposed to be a defensive guy, but he's had 3 errors in 2 weeks.
My problem is though, why Brett Phillips? I know he's not an elite defender by any means, but why are you going to trade a center fielder who can't hit for another center fielder who can't hit?
Yeah, and one of them's Mr. Tampa Bay area.
Exactly.
And
I would rather have Brett Phillips in there.
Yeah, now he's Barry Bonds over in Baltimore now.
No, yeah, I saw that. First game, he had a fucking double. I never seen the guy hit a double all year.
Yeah, I know. It didn't make much sense. But
so the one thing that is intriguing, if you're looking at the numbers, I always like when I see on a team that they have lower tickets but higher dollars. And that would line up for the Rays. The Rays are only getting 32% of the bets, but they're getting 43% of the money. So I do like that. I am very surprised that the Brewers are getting love from the public today because that number just seems expensive to me. I guess people must just be looking at the pitching matchup and is Freddie Peralta, is he someone that you would just automatically bet on against the bullpen day?
He's probably significantly in the eyes of the public, not that they're wrong, significantly better than the combination of Yacobonis and Yarbrough, but I think people kind of see that 40 ERA from Yacobonis.
Oh God, yeah,
and that doesn't help.
I thought that was an error.
Yeah, no, he's pitched because I think it only registers his starts with the Rays or his appearances with the Rays, and he gave up 3 1/3 of an inning. So that's nice. A little inflated. But we do have Yarbrough going, who is traditionally Jacob deGrom when he comes in behind an opener. He's a little better on the road too. The part that kind of threw me off though is the Brewers being this big of a favorite with Freddie Peralta at home, where he has been atrocious this year. He has a 7 ERA at home compared to just I think under 2.6 on the road.
Yep.
So that kind of threw me off a little bit. I wouldn't be shocked though. I just don't think either of these teams are very good offensively. So we could see anything today. A lot of these Brewers bats individually are a little better at home too. I don't know what to expect. I think the Rays may be worth a shot because I do kind of think that Yarbrough pitches well today. But again, I need to see a Rays lineup, honestly.
So on that note, I got 2 things. The lineup, I bet the Rays. I said they were going to sweep Detroit. So I put my money where my mouth is, and it was game 3 with McClanahan. Granted, it was the chalkiest spot, not something you'd see from a contrarian bettor. Yep. But I made a big bet on the Rays on that game, and I did it before the lineup came out.
Yeah.
Lineup comes out, no Randy Arozarena, and no Yandy Diaz.
Yep.
Randy hadn't been good, but he had been heating up in Detroit. Why you give the guy a fucking day off blows my mind.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, it's not good, but I got to stick with it. The second thing I would say about this game with Yarbrough coming in, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't his last outing in Baltimore where he threw a gem?
Yes.
Okay.
It was.
If I'm thinking, getting in the minds of the players, right, and betting with emotions, you'd have to imagine they're pretty upset with themselves. Did they even score a run in that game? Maybe they got one.
I don't think they scored at all.
I don't think they scored at all either. So they got to really be kicking themselves and saying, you know what? Our boy Yarbrough deserves a little bit of run support. A little bit of run support. By the way, all the money's on the over. A really contrarian spot in this game's on the under.
Yeah, because, again, people see Yacobonis in that 40 ERA, and then Freddie Peralta, who hasn't been fantastic. He's been, even before he got hurt and was out for a while, he wasn't good. So I wouldn't be
I think under might be the play here for me personally. But you would go Rays as a dog?
I'm kind of in the middle. I kind of like both of those plays. Taking a spot at the Rays and the under. Probably will be taking one of them. I'll be deciding throughout the day. But
you know what I would love? I would love that. I always value late movement on a line, right? And again, this goes for any sport. I personally think the sharpest of the sharps strike. Maybe they sit back and wait to get a better number. That late movement, if it comes in on the Rays, so meaning if we see the Brewers go from minus 165 back down to 160 or 155, I will put a unit on the Rays.
Yep, I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree. Same thing with the total. If we see, total dip down to 7.5. That's under City all day.
I would be.
Looks like it's kind of staying put, but we'll see.
Yep.
Whatever move we get, I agree. I'll probably be on that. Head to another game that I figure you're going to be on in some form or fashion. Tommy Henry going after the D-backs against the Pirates.
Tommy Henry. I haven't even been keeping up with Peaky Blinders this season. I heard it's very good, but I can't not say this guy's name and just want to get in a bar fight. And I'm not even a fighter. But I want to pour a warm cup of scotch and I just feel like mentally kicking someone's ass. That's what I think Tommy Henry is going to do. So I bet on his pitching debut. Didn't go so well, as you can tell, because he's 0-1 with a 7.2 ERA. But I know Zach Thompson isn't necessarily the best pitcher, 3-8 with a 5 ERA. But should Tommy Henry be minus 160 against anybody?
Yeah, I know Ollie was saying the same thing, that it doesn't seem that crazy when you see that Zach Gallen was minus 230 something yesterday. But I do agree, and there's also the thing, the Pirates are the worst team in the league against left-handed pitching. So
there you go.
It makes a little bit of sense, but I agree that I think it's still the same thing. There's also I've seen nothing but Tommy Henry under strikeouts on Prize Picks all night before he even went to bed, because people look at him and they say, people can't figure out that the Guardians don't strike out. And that was who he faced in his first start. He had 3 strikeouts, but the Guardians don't strike out. Tommy Henry he's not a terrible pitcher. He had between an 8 and 9 K per 9 in his 2 years in the minors, 2-3 years in the minors, but I don't know. I've been seeing good things, though. They've been working on his off-speed pitches in between his last start and now, and they're really excited for him, which I don't know. I agree. I kind of support Tommy Henry in the start. The one issue is Tommy Henry that he got in trouble with the first game was he has some serious command issues at times. But again, this is a Pirates team that's 29th in walk rate in the MLB, so a good spot for him overall.
So one thing that does kind of concern me now is I did just look at his picture and see what he looks like. He doesn't look like a tough guy. He doesn't look like the guy his name sounds like. He looks like a baby face. He kind of even looks like a golfer.
Yeah.
I'm not as excited, but one thing that you said did stand out to me before I go too crazy on the Diamondbacks is that narrative that someone like me, just a casual fan, would not know, being that the Pirates are the worst team against left-handed pitchers.
Yeah.
So that is a big deal, but then you've also got to do the next step. What's the public saying? What are people on Twitter saying? And if you're telling me that everybody's loving Tommy Henry strikeouts, then that tells me nobody gives a shit about that Pirate stat.
Yeah.
They're still going to be backing the Pirates in some way, shape, or form, or, not backing Tommy Henry. So, you know what? I'm going to do a 2-teamer with pitchers, and Tommy Henry over strikeouts is going in it.
Yeah, I really like that one. I'm probably going to be taking that one too. I mean,
I absolutely love it.
Hey, I mean, if you're taking prize picks and you're talking about what a guy looks like, you can be more intrigued because he has no picture. No picture on prize picks.
That I love. No,
I know. You've said about that. It's the perfect snenario.
Yeah, talk about system plays. I don't even want to know what a guy looks like, and then I'm probably going to bet on him. Also, just a quick, Jovan the GOAT. I don't know if you remember yesterday, but I did like a quick tweet of who's hitting a home run, and I picked somebody, and somebody said Austin Hayes, and I was like, oh, he's got plus 550, so I just ran it by you. I was like, hey, Jovan, what do you think of Austin Hayes? You're like, I like him. And I was like, all right, I'm in. Fucking guy hits a home run.
Yeah,
thank you.
I took it.
Jovan the co-signer.
Yeah, co-signer. We were in the spaces too, and I took his run and RBI, and somebody was like, do you really think he's going to be down there in the order getting, runner RBI since he's hitting 6? I was like, I think he's just going to go yard. Literally 5 seconds after I go and I look, I'm like 500. I placed it immediately. I was like, you know what? Whatever.
That's great.
Yeah, so I did that.
I do like that the Diamondbacks do have a line move in their favor too. So minus 150 up to minus 160. It's not too significant. If anything, I kind of like small movements, between if I would love that it tick up a little bit more. Because sometimes if it's not enough, like the A's last night, I think is a perfect example, like 120 to 125 was not enough, especially with how good, I think it was Cole Irvin, right? He was really good. And I was like, you know what? That's not enough. That made me lean Angels. I saw Krabs played them. But yeah, so I want to see that move tick up a little bit. If there's any buyback on the Pirates, I'm probably going to stay off, but otherwise I lean Diamondbacks.
Fair enough. I'm with you.
Love to hear
another game that I think a lot of people want to hear is this Cardinals-Rockies game in Coors.
A lot of people want to hear that?
A lot of people want to hear about it, especially, a lot of people want to hear about it from me because it's in Coors, so player props galore, supposedly, always is, but
oh, they don't want to hear about me talk about Ryan Feltner?
No, they definitely do. They definitely do. Let's hear what you got to say.
I got nothing. This guy's got no picture though. Well, here's the first thing that stands out to me. I'll be very brief on this. The Cardinals are way too hot. I think it's a short line. Minus 170 for a team that's 9-1 in their last 10. Mikolas, I know he's 8-8. He's got a great ERA. I think for a 500 pitcher, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry if I say that too many times, but I really mean it. Yeah. Is he probably one of the most popular pitchers for having a 500 record?
You're talking about Mikolas?
Yes.
Yeah.
People respect him, right?
He is much better than that record. Just in general, I think when you're evaluating pitchers, record is kind of goes out the window. You got to look at the 2.92 ERA or some of his advanced statistics. But we were talking about, something like an advanced statistics or like in any expected numbers, playing in Coors is a big, big deal. Huge deal. Because those expected numbers start to blow up in your face. Yep. I don't know how familiar you are with the whole Coors thing, but
very. I've actually been to Coors. I've only been to about 5 ballparks in my life. Coors was phenomenal. And I like this over. I hope you do too. And maybe that's a sign that Mikolas, the expected numbers, whatever the case is, Coors changing that. I actually think seeing a total at 11 means he might get hit.
Yeah, I'm seeing it's up to 11.5 now.
I love that. I
was just looking like he's not a huge strikeout guy, absolutely, and this isn't Coors, but on Prize Picks, his fantasy score is sitting 22.5, which
that's very low.
Very, very low. It's a Coors game, so usually you get a significant discount from a lot of people, but
sure,
that's really low for a guy who's been dealing like he is. I know that the Rockies' offense is obviously much better at home. They're not the same abysmal offense on the road because they are on Coors, but man, that seems low.
The only thing that would I'm going to play this over. I'm also looking at the betting data, and it looks like it's just a complete opposite here with 68% of the bets on the under, but 83% of the money on the over. So I absolutely love that. And it would make sense.
Really,
it would make sense. The average person's going to bet the under because Mikolas is involved. But the only thing that would prevent me from taking this is if you were to say, oh, Mikolas is a bad pitcher on the road, or he just got blown up like his last start. Because then that falls into like, oh, okay, well, it makes more sense. But if that's not, I know the Coors thing is really it. It seems like it. If there's
Yeah, I
nothing
think
else,
that's a majority of it.
yeah, that's fine. That's not enough to scare me off.
He is a little worse on the road, I will say, but
That's fine.
nothing significant. I think it's majority just the Coors thing. That's what we're seeing from everybody. But I mean, I have seen a lot of the under today. Weirdly, I didn't expect that, even with Michaelis on the mound. It's weird because Feltner is a flaming trash can,
Sure.
as the public is concerned, and I mean, I kind of think the same, but it's strange a little bit. I will be targeting some props here for sure.
What is Mikolas earned runs allowed?
That's an interesting one. I think I don't even know if they have that category up yet.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, they do. He doesn't have anything. Or no, he does. Oh, I guess it's Coors. They have 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, I like that.
That's usually where guys are. Good pitchers, even at Coors, 3+. I mean, I think Tyler Anderson, Kershaw are all at 3+. So I mean, not surprising, but
okay. So if anything, if it was like 4.5, that might tempt people into taking the under, which would mean a contrarian-minded bettor would want to go over.
If any earned runs allowed prop on Prize Picks is at 4, hammering the over because I've never seen a 4.
Never seen a 4. Okay.
Never seen a 4. So 3.5 is the highest I've seen it go.
Okay.
So if there is ever a 4, I will put my bank account on the over.
Love it.
That is for sure.
I'll probably be going Mikolas over and Tommy Henry's strikeouts over. That'll be my 2-teamer.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you liked the over in the game though.
I do. Yeah. Mikolas over runs allowed.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. Yeah, I am having a tough time trying to decipher some props in this game because there's a lot of guys listed for this game, like there always is in Coors, but I'll be looking for a couple. I do kind of I know we were talking about some odds, weird things. I was initially looking at Nolan Gorman, and then I wake up today, look at the home run odds for this game, and he's the lowest. He's the shortest odds to hit a home run.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes me love it.
He's lower than Goldschmidt, lower than Arenado, lower than Tyler O'Neill, lower than everybody, which I think is really weird. So
Nolan Gorman.
Yeah, that's definitely a little something I'll be paying attention to. I need to see the lineup for that though too, because sometimes they haven't batted in second, sometimes they haven't batted in 5th or 6th. We'll see. We'll see as that progresses. Let's see another game that people were saying. I do want to hear your take on this Rangers-Astros game because I feel like this is a really weird one.
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite bets of the day. I don't usually back trendy pitchers, so I will not be going with the Rangers at a plus price. If anything, I would lean Astros. But what really catches my eye here is the total. And maybe I'm off, but with Perez and Urquidy, both pitchers have a combined ERA of 6. This opening total at 8. Oh, actually, wait. Did it open 7.5? It did. It opened 7.5 and it moved up to 8. I love that. I like the over.
Well, I don't know if you would like this or love this, or like this or hate this, but Urquidy is, in the eyes of a public, he's a very fadeable guy. But he has been, his last 3 starts, he's looked like Jacob deGrom.
Then that makes me love it.
Yeah.
As if I'm going to play an over and I need runs, meaning I need the pitcher to not pitch well, I just don't want it to be coming off of a guy who's not pitching well because it just adds up too much. I want it to be coming off of a guy who's just pitched very well. And a perfect example was, I think, last week when especially if they've seen the teams before, that's what I love. There was a Diamondbacks-Rockies game. Total was, I think it was 9, and it was Bumgarner and Marquez. Bumgarner had pitched the Rockies, and he had 2 earned runs. Marquez had pitched the Diamondbacks, and he had 3 earned runs. And that line moved down, and that's probably what people with big money saw. Final score 6-5, went over.
Yep.
So it was a high opener. Didn't make much sense because both pitchers had done well against teams. So as long as Urquidy has been looking good, I don't know, man. I mean, and if you're looking at the betting splits too, again, lower tickets, higher dollars, it looks like smart money's all over the over here. 59% of the bets, but 86% of the money. So, it's not too lopsided in terms of tickets, and I really like that. So I would be inclined to following that line move and following the money.
Yeah, I'm with that. I mean, not only has he been looking really good, but I think I believe that was the last start. Yeah, Urquidy's coming off the best start of his life against the his last start. 7 shutout innings, 2 hits, 10 strikeouts.
Now, let me ask you this in terms of a side. I can't take one, but do you think people will be on Martin Perez because he's been so good? at that plus price number. And given the Astros have kind of been in a funk lately, haven't they?
To a degree. I don't really know. I was trying to get a grip on what would be the public side in this game because I do think the Astros at minus 190 with Urquidy on the mound is more telling than it is buying into like his recent success or his last couple starts or whatever. Because I mean, he's still a very fadeable guy. The Rangers offense isn't great on the road. Urquidy is really good at home. I really don't know. I think this is also, I believe, the third time that these two pitchers will be facing these two lineups, even though some of them have been a little different in a couple of those starts. So it's weird. I don't know. I don't really know. This is another one where I'd particularly pay attention to any late movement because I think it'll be pretty telling on this game, especially if it pushes the Astros over that minus 200 mark. I feel like that would be extremely telling on what's going to happen in this game with the over moving up as well. So I'm pretty undecided on this one as far as a side.
Yeah. I think there's always a chalk play of the day that hits, the square play of the day that hits. If I had to pick one, it's probably the Astros, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with that. Honestly, I don't know. I think people still like to fade Urquidy. I don't know how much.
Okay.
So I mean, the Rangers could be a decently public play today, but I think everybody often hates them because their offense has been atrocious. So
we'll see.
We'll see how it unfolds throughout the day. There was an interesting odds boost that just came up.
I love fading these.
Musgrove, Ohtani, Garrett Cole, and Julio Urias to each throw 6+ strikeouts. So one of them's getting shelled.
Urias. I like the total in that game. I think it's too high.
Really?
Yeah, well, it's Joe Ryan and Urias going. Ryan's got a 3.6 ERA. Urias 2.5 ERA. Guy has been incredible. I don't know about you. I know there's probably better pitchers on the Dodgers. Watching Urias pitch scares me.
I agree.
He scares me. And when the Rays played them in the World Series, terrified me. But this over – go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, for me in this game, I think I've been watching Joe Ryan these last couple starts. I mean, obviously he had the big one against the Padres where he got 10 runs, but his everything is down. Like his velocity's down, his movement's down, his off speed's not moving at the same rate. It looks weird. It looks like he's hurt. It looks like there's something going on. So I think I like that over because honestly, I think the Dodgers might cover it by themselves.
Okay, fair enough then. So then I wouldn't necessarily say I think Urias gets blown up. I was only saying that because I like the total over in this game. I think that opener at 8.5 is too high. It is down to 8. I don't like going against the line move unless the opener doesn't make sense, and I think it doesn't make sense.
I agree. I can definitely get with that. That whole game is I don't know, I think it's a really weird game. It's a weird game. I hate trusting the Twins offense in general.
Yeah.
But I think this is a game where the Dodgers roll. Not the hottest take because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be on Dodgers minus 1.5 like every day.
Right.
But that's something I don't hate. Let's see what games we are in the chat.
I'll tell you what. What time does this end, by the way? 2:00?
Yeah, we got a couple minutes. Do you have any specific games that you haven't touched on that you really want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm going to bet the Padres today. Okay. I thought yesterday was a really, really tough outcome for anybody who bet the Padres because I think there's a right side, wrong result. And you could say the opposite in a lot of situations. I mean, the Padres, they fit a system of, I know people fade teams coming off of Sunday Night Baseball, but Monday favorites who have lost on Sunday night were 33-11 before last night. The Padres were minus 160 up to minus 190. I actually thought the Giants were going to be a little bit more trendy, but I guess people just did not like Alex Wood. And Snell is not even that public yet, although he has been pitching much better.
Yeah.
They lost outright. So I know Musgrove. I had Musgrove to win the Cy Young before the season. It was looking great. Now he's just fell off. He's fallen off. I heard that he has a 7 ERA in the month of July. Yeah. So he hasn't been good. He's 8-5 now. I think this is the time where people jump ship from the Padres. They gave it one chance to bounce back from the Dodgers. Now everybody's saying, fuck the Padres.
Yep.
So when people are saying, fuck the Padres, that's kind of when I want to jump in, especially when it's a bit of a expensive price. I know Cobb isn't anything to really get too excited about, but, I mean, they just got shut out. They haven't been good. I don't like playing the do theory. At least they got some wins out of their system against the Rockies. But I think that's a pretty high price for a pitcher who hasn't been very good and a team that hasn't been very good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you. I think they do win today. I don't know about the price thing, though. I think just going forward, I don't think against like any team that's not the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets even, I don't think you're going to see a price any lower than this for this team. I think this is probably rock bottom as far as what you're going to see going forward. But
that's a good point. That's a good point.
I think they're going to be priced this way. They're going to be a majority unbettable for a lot of these games, especially because coming up in this next month or so, their schedule is Charmin Ultra Soft. They have like 2 series against the Nats, a bunch of series against really, really bad teams. So those are going to be super, super unbettable. So I think this is what you're going to get.
I also heard some guy on I listen to like Vegas Sports Talk Radio, and some guy was kind of flaunting his Padres to miss the playoff ticket at like 7-1. So when that starts happening and people feel good about it, and he was adding more to it, and then you got the opposite side of people who were betting on the Padres saying fuck them, I feel like this is kind of the spot where they just take care of business tonight. But that is a good point about the price. I won't focus on that too much with them moving forward. That's a very good point.
Yeah, fair enough. Got a couple minutes here. A lot of people want to hear about the Royals game, but I don't care about those games, to be honest with you. I think I heard you say the same thing.
The 4:00 game? That's probably why, right? People are itching.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we can go to this game instead because I have a feeling I know what you're betting in this game. Let's go to Boston.
Yeah, I'm on the Red Sox.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite games, and I hate that because the Red Sox are a dumpster fire. But let's see if you agree with me in terms of the price. Charlie Morton opening at -140 against the Red Sox and Rich Hill. I know Morton is not the best pitcher, right? But he's still good. And the Braves are a much better team. Granted, they just lost 3 or 4 against the Mets. It's the Mets. And the Red Sox have been all-world bad. Haven't they just – I say all-world because it's, relative to Red Sox expectations. Chris Sale just fell off a bicycle, broke his hand. Yeah. Give me a break, by the way, falling off a bicycle.
Bad news.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm not only just doing – if Morton was like he's up to -160 now. But if he opened 160 or maybe even -170, I would have no interest in this game. I just think that's too short. I think 140 is a little too short. Makes me think the Red Sox, might be the play here. What about you?
Kind of in the same space. I don't know if I can get myself to bet the Red Sox with how terrible they've been, but it's
nothing wrong with that.
Certainly a short opener, and you add in like kind of the narrative part of it, like the Braves kill left-handed pitching, and they have a lot of guys in there that destroy left-handed pitching. Austin Riley is if they get Rich Hill today, like we're expecting, it's going to be Austin Riley going for 5 home runs today, to be honest with you.
Would you want to play the over?
Yeah, the over definitely intrigues me as something like I'd be willing to play more so than the Red Sox, because if the Red Sox, I don't think they're going to go out and have Rich Hill shove.
Right.
Like I think they're going to have to out-hit the Braves to win this game. So that's definitely an angle that I would like to take if I'm taking the Red Sox.
Yeah, well, the money likes the over. 48% of the bets, but all the money on the over. Although the line's not moving, I feel like it should. And I know Morton, this is probably why the money's there, because it's a system. Morton is, I think, 14-4 to the over.
Jeez. Well, yeah. Talked about a lot of the slate. You got to hand it over to Trent.
Okay.
But I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you talking baseball. Always good to have another smart mind talking baseball with a little different of an angle than, the general public gets to see all the time. So
appreciate it.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming again. And yeah, we'll definitely be having you on sometime soon, especially when Krabs is on here, because you guys are 2 peas in a pod.
Well, then it might not really have any use. I might come in just echo him a little bit. You know what I mean? But
yeah, it's like talking to the same people. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, but I appreciate it, man. You guys are great. I'm huge fans, and keep it up. I think it's awesome what you're doing for the community and helping a lot of people out. I hope they don't take it for granted.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you.
All right, man.
Yeah, we'll hand it off to Trent, and we'll be seeing. Let's hit up another parlay today. I think we hit a parlay yesterday on the stream, so let's do that again.
I'll pay attention.
Yeah, maybe not today. You might want to fade it today.
Yeah, that's true. It was Public Monday yesterday.
Yeah, just was a bit, but
true.
Yeah, appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll get to the surgical stream.
All right, man. See ya.